Welcome back to Joe's Son of Boxing. I'm going to put my film reviewer's hat on and tell you all about a new film which is available on Amazon Prime. It's just been released. It's called Prizefighter, The Life of Jem Belcher. And if you know a little bit about the history of bare knuckle boxing, you'll know that Jem Belcher, I think, was the youngest ever bare knuckle champ of England. I think he was 19. And this film is about his life, his rise, and he did die young. Jem Belcher, he died at 30 of alcoholism. But this really is the rise and fall of this guy. I'm not going to tell you too much about the life story of Jem Belcher, because you might want to watch the movie. I don't want to spoil certain things. But it is one of those rise and fall tales. You know, I love reading biographies and I love watching biographical documentaries and movies, because I think people are really interesting when you sort of do a potted précis of their life. You know, you really get there's a lot of human interest there, and especially if you're a boxing fan, there's a lot of human interest with this guy, because we're going back to the turn of the 18th century. So we're talking 1800, and James Jem Belcher, like I say, became the youngest bare knuckle champ of England. His grandfather had also been a bare knuckle fighter, a guy called Jack Slack, and he'd been quite established. And I think don't quote me on this. I think Jack Slack beat James J. Figg, but I'll have to check on that. Memory might be playing tricks on me. But anyway, so he had it in his blood. He was from a fighting background. His grandfather sort of encouraged him. His mum didn't want him to fight, but he did become a champion, and you know, hobnobbed with the wealthy, and was very famous and made a lot of money. His life was a short one, but he achieved a lot in those 30 years. And of course, we're talking 1800. You know, start of the 19th century. You know, we're talking people didn't live very long then anyway. If you have that sort of bare knuckle lifestyle, it's hard money. I mean, it's really, really hard money, the bare knuckle stuff. Boxing, any combat sport is hard. But Jem Belcher, his life was inevitably cut short by both alcoholism and the fact that he took so much punishment in the ring. Now, a little bit of backstory about this movie, because it is, let me get this right, it's co-produced, it's written, and it stars in the lead role a guy called Matt Hookins, who is David Pearce's son. David Pearce was the British heavyweight champion, the last Welshman to hold the British heavyweight title. And Matt Hookins, he hocked this movie around as a low-budget movie. I think he tried to get funding. He took years trying to get it together. He thought it was a fascinating story, the James Jem Belcher story, and he's right. It is a really terrific story. But he couldn't get the film made. It's finally been made. Amazon Prime picked it up. How did he finally get it made? Well, you have to look at the supporting cast. I say supporting because, in a sense, even though Matt Hookins plays the lead role in this movie, he is inevitably overshadowed by Russell Crowe, who plays the aforementioned Jack Slack, and Ray Winstone as Jem Belcher's trainer, a guy called Bill Waugh. Now, there are other really established actors in this movie, like Jodie May plays Belcher's mum, Mary Belcher. Stephen Burkoff has a little cameo as a guy called Walter, who's like a prisoner when Jem does a few days in the cells. Stephen Burkoff, terrific theatre actor. Julian Glover plays a guy called Lord Ashford, who is the sort of patron of the bare knuckle champions, and very, very mercenary with it. So, if I have a criticism of the movie, and I appreciate this was Matt Hookins' baby, his labour of love, and I've got massive respect for the bloke for actually pushing this forward, this movie, and getting people like Russell Crowe and Ray Winstone and Jodie May and all the others, Burkoff, all interested, and they all came in, and they all probably took a paltry fee for their services. But if I have a criticism, it's that Matt Hookins, as the lead role, doesn't seem to have the experience, perhaps, maybe not quite on a level of the talent that we mentioned, but then few people are. It's not a bad performance by Matt Hookins. It's just that he looks a little bit out of his depth when it comes to the sort of, you know, the nuances you need to create a rounded character, and to be multifaceted in an emotional sense. A lot of this movie is very, very emotional. It's about, like I say, about the rise and fall of a great fighter. And Matt Hookins does appear a little bit out of his depth in certain segments. Now, that's not to say that he doesn't do very well in certain other segments of the movie. Certainly in the fight scenes, especially the last 15 minutes, which concentrates on the big showdown between Belcher and, you know, another guy called, ironically enough, called Pierce, who was another very well-respected bare knuckle champ. When he does those action scenes, he's very good. But when it comes down to the more things that require a more multi-layered performance, I think Matt Hookins is a little bit out of his depth, to be honest with you. That's the only real criticism I've got of this movie. He also wrote it, Matt Hookins did, and it's very, very well written. The script is good. It's not a real, like I say, it's a low-budget movie, so it's not a real flashy movie. It's very down-to-earth, very gritty. It deals with the relationships between, you know, the mother and son, the grandfather and grandson. All very good. But don't expect, you know, a Rocky movie. Don't expect the Raging Bull. Don't expect, you know, someone like that, Up There Likes Me, or Requiem for a Heavyweight, or something like that. But it is, as a small independent movie, with some very, you know, with a lot of real talent, real great acting talent, and a very good script by Hookins. It's a very, very entertaining. I think it was an hour and 50 minutes it lasted. And I do recommend it. I would give this film sort of 7.5 out of 10 overall. It's not, you know, it's not fast paced. You've got to watch it. You can't just sort of sit there chatting to people while you watch. No, you've got to watch it to get into it. But I liked it a lot. I thought it was a very good movie. And of course, I mentioned a few of the more well-known boxing movies. I think this is a worthy sort of addition to the canon of boxing movies. So I thought I'd make you aware of it. Russell Crowe's great in it. Winston's brilliant. I always liked Ray Winston ever since, you know, I saw Scum when I was a teenager. What a great movie that is. You know, like I say, Stephen Burkoff's, yeah, he's only got a little cameo, but he's terrific in it. Jodie May's great. Glover's good. Julian Glover. They're all good. They're all good. And I think for that reason, Matt Hookins in the lead role doesn't quite, he hasn't got the presence. He just doesn't, he's kind of out of his depth because he's surrounded by so much talent. But at the same time, it's not, you don't watch the movie and think, well, that guy's crap. You just think, you concentrate more on the other people, on all those big names, you know, Oscar winner, Russell Crowe Oscar winner, you know, Ray Winston, a sort of stalwart staple of British cinema for the last 40 years. So yeah, I say watch this movie, and you know, well done to Matt Hookins for finally getting it over the line. Amazon Prime, that's where you'll find it. About an hour and 50 minutes, I think it is. Very well worth watching. And if you do watch it, let me know what you think of it. And I thought it was good. Like I say, 7.5 out of 10 for me. Yeah, I hope you like it. So give it a look. Tell me what you think. Thanks for watching the video. As always, hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe. And yeah, there you go. Enjoy yourselves. Take care. Bye for now.